Good evening. Nós vamos dar início então ao debate sobre o rendimento básico incondicional. A maioria dos que estão aqui até já sabem o que é, alguns não sabem, e quem não sabe pode colocar as questões que quiser.
Quem é que não sabe o que é?
Já agora, quem é que não sabe o que é? Who doesn't know basic income? Acho que toda a gente conhece.
Quem é que era o resumo?
Por acaso não Okay, then Robert take the...
Então vou utilizar o microfone. Não é possível. Muito obrigado a todos, muito obrigado a ti por teres tomado esta iniciativa. Conseguimos multiplicar este tipo de iniciativa.
Obrigado. É só mais um que faço.
Ora bem, nós já todos aqui sabemos o que é o rendimento condicional, por isso estamos um bocadinho entre família. Podemos debater sobre as razões a favor e contra o rendimento condicional, mas talvez seja também muito interessante aproveitarmos a presença de um dos organizadores da Iniciativa Cidadã Europeia a favor do rendimento condicional, que é o Stanislas, je parle de toi. O Stan percebe inglês, portanto talvez possamos falar em inglês. Se alguém... Quem é que não percebe inglês aqui? Então, eu sugiro isto, como já estamos todos mais ou menos convencidos que isto é um belo ideal, vamos então transformar a nossa reunião numa reunião mais estratégica sobre aquilo que nós poderíamos fazer para aumentar os votos europeus e para difundir esta ideia de Portugal. So I'm going to speak in English now, okay? I'd like you, Stan, to take this opportunity to talk with us about your experience of the European initiative, and perhaps tell us how you see things in the future and what you think would be best for us as a Portuguese group to do. So, yeah.
Right now?
Yeah.
Don't you want to say something in Portuguese?
I've already done it, and I realized that all of us know what basic income is. All of us know about the European initiative, but we need some guidance about what to do. So perhaps you could just introduce yourself. What have you done for the last 6 months, and then we can talk about what we do. É preciso um microfone, João.
It helps.
Okay, but this will be an improvisation talk. But thanks for the opportunity, of course. I'm happy to bring my experience because I started to get interested about basic income 3 years ago, but everything went very fast for me because I've been very active in France trying to build the movement, and then I heard about the European initiative, so I also participated to the preparation of the European campaign for basic income, and since then I've been more and more involved, and I've been now for almost 6 months traveling in Europe to meet the different networks in each country and trying to coordinate the different actions and trying to help different groups to go to the next level of of activism, the next level of awareness about basic income. So that's for the general idea, the general thing about my activity right now. I'm traveling. I'm also part of a WeShare, which is a movement about the sharing economy. And I must say that being part of this other movement has been really helping me to do that, but I will explain more about it later. And so when it was 1 year ago, 1.5 years ago, I was active in France, trying to do my best to write about basic income, because I used to be a journalist as well, so I was writing, and people started to identify me as a guy who was promoting it. And 1.5 years ago, I heard about the idea of the European campaign, the European Citizen Initiative. And at that moment, in France, the movement was really disparate. This means that there were a couple of groups, different groups, promoting basic income on their own, but they were not at all cooperating with each other. So when we started to prepare the European Citizen Initiative, there was a meeting in Brussels with 50 participants from all over Europe, except Portugal at that time. But Roberto fixed that. So at that time, I came back from Brussels and I was with another French activist. And we thought, okay, we're going to do this campaign, but in France, this is not organized at all. There is no common communication, there's nothing. So what we thought is that the first step we need to do is set up a new website that would be like the information website for basic income. It would not be, it was not, okay, first let's do an association or something. It was just, okay, let's try to gather all this different content we have, gather all the different groups that are active, just have them index it somewhere, and start informing the people. And that's what we did. And so I talked with the different groups to ask them if they want to be part of this new website. And then we needed some money, so we asked the community to provide us, and in 3 days we had 3,000 euros. So it was the first step of, was really empowering to see that, this reaction from the movement. And then we started the website, and at that moment what was really important in the success of the website was that we had a collaboration between people who are experts of the basic income, who have the knowledge, who have been writing about it, who have been writing theses or books, and we also had people who liked blog, to write on the internet. We had people like me who had a background in journalism, and we had just some people who just, for example, we have a guy from, he's living in Germany, he's French, but living in Germany, so he would inform us about what's going on in Germany. And gradually we would cooperate with each other just to inform the people. And we built a sort of a magazine on basic income. And that was the whole starting point, because from this, the people would not notice the website, they would visit the website, and at the same time, at some point they would contact us. They would say, okay, what can I do to help? Or is there a local group? Is there a group in my city to promote the idea? And gradually, we started to not only to inform the people, but to put the words into practice. So at some point, for instance, we launched a map where we had all the groups that were already formed, and every time there was a new group who contacted us, or just an individual who contacted us, we talked with them, and at some point they would create a Facebook group maybe, and we would then publish on the Facebook page, okay, look, there's a new Facebook group, everyone living in Lyon or in Marseille, you can join it, it's here. And that way, people started not only to think about the idea, but also to talk about other people, to talk with other people locally, and then obviously, at some point they would ask themselves, okay, what can we do? Can we organize an event? Can we organize a conference? Or something. So it all started like this, very organically. And now, only in April this year, we created an association, but it came afterwards. And the idea with the association is not to create the movement, it already exists. But the idea is that with this formal status, now we can more easily ask for money to finance our activities. And we can also do some more lobbying, because it's easier to do lobbying when you are president or co-president of a formal association. So that's what we are doing now. So that's for the French version. Now I've been, since February, I've been in Belgium, UK, Greece, Portugal, now, Spain. I've been in Italy a little bit before as well, and Germany and Switzerland. And all these countries, the situation is very different. I don't know what to say exactly. But everywhere I went, what is clear is that there is a stronger and stronger interest in the idea. Many people tell me, you know, in UK it's hopeless. There is nothing we can do because of this reason. And in Germany, it's desperate as well because of this, because of the government of Merkel. In Greece, it's impossible because we have the Troika. In Spain, it's impossible because I don't know. You know, but everyone is trying to find an excuse to think that in its country it's more difficult than elsewhere. And I truly believe it's not true. Because even in France, where because I'm from France, people usually tell me, but you know, it's easier for you because you already have a huge welfare system and blah blah blah. But it's not true actually. In France, people would say to us, you already have a lot of welfare. Why do you want more welfare? You know? So you have the counter-argument. In Greece, they would say, it's impossible because we don't have any welfare. And in France, the people against basic income say the opposite. We already have too much welfare. So I really think that there is no justification for not thinking it's possible to advocate for basic income in each country. For sure, the situations are different, but every problem is also an opportunity. It's every counter-argument, every objection to basic income is at the same time an argument against, in favor, I mean.
Are you convinced by some type of objection to basic income? Is there an objection that seems stronger?
Of course, the question of the financing part, how to finance it, where does the money come from? That's the question that.
That's the hardest.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's the hardest, but maybe in countries like Greece, it's really a problem because Greece cannot even fund itself. So, but at the same time, obviously, we are doing a European campaign because we believe that there should be actually a redistribution within Europe. So that's part of the answer. But yeah, the question of financing is really an important one. Not for everyone, though. I believe there are some certain types of people, mostly the scientific-minded people. Really, they like to see the numbers. So that's. But apart from that, I don't know. Most of the objections are, in the end, they are moral. It's moral values against the basic income. It's the idea that it's more ethical to give people money without asking for anything back. That's the stronger one. I mean,
what is your reply to that? It's true that it makes a lot of sense. Paying people and they don't give anything back to society.
there are many answers, but I think the stronger one is philosophical, and it goes back to what people said in the first place, like Thomas Paine was a philosopher. He was in France at the moment of the revolution in France, and he said some interesting stuff. One was, at the moment we just achieved the revolution at the French Assembly, he said, there's no democracy, no, there's no citizenship without income, which means that citizens cannot fully exercise their citizenship, they cannot participate in democracy if they don't have also an economic right, ensuring that they can participate in income. And further, he also elaborated the theory that was a critique of private property, but a rational critique. It was not Marxist. It was just saying, at some point, if you have a limited piece of land and you have more people, obviously there's going to be a concentration of private property. So we should compensate these private property rights with a basic income. And the justification behind it is also the fact that all our wealth, the current wealth we have in modern countries like France and Portugal, we have so much wealth, but it's not our own merit that we are so rich, it's the merit of our ancestors. If we have such an elaborated language as English and Portuguese, if we have so many infrastructures, it's because our ancestors paid for it or invaded. If we have the internet, it's not because, if we have Facebook, it's not because Mark Zuckerberg is so brilliant, smart, no. It's basically just, he grabbed many elements, many items from the public domain and just made something slightly better. But Mark Zuckerberg didn't invent the processor, he didn't invent electricity, he didn't invent all the protocols of the internet like HTTP or, he didn't invent anything regarding to the all wealth our ancestors have been creating. So I think, to come back to your question, the argument of it's not moral to pay people money, it's not moral either to let people get so rich with the creation of other people, which are not, there are many people who built the internet who died without money, who died very poor, and that's actually a common situation in also many artists, which books or arts are very famous now, and people are making money from this. At the time they made this artistic creation, they were poor. So, just to summarize, it's about considering and alleging that there is a wealth that doesn't belong to anyone. And even though we will try, for example, at the patents, try to reward the people who created something, but we all know it doesn't work really well. So basic income is all about understanding that there's a share of the wealth that it's impossible to retrieve the creator of this wealth. We just don't know who it is, and if we know who is this person, maybe he's dead. So here we have a part of the creation of value that must be common, that must be divided to everyone.
I agree, but you also said in your reply that the first reply you made the first part of your reply, you said that to have political citizenship, to have political participation, we need economic power. But that was, I guess, Thomas Paine's reply. But actually, unconditional basic income doesn't say that you need to have political participation. So the question still holds. How can you give people money without asking at least to have some kind of political participation? That's my question. Anyone has a reply?
You may not ask, but at least in my mind it is implied that you expect people that if they have the freedom to participate, some, I was going to say many, but at least some will. At least in those studies that they did testing basic income in poor areas in Brazil, Canada, and India, one of the common conclusions was that not many people stayed at home and did nothing. It was actually, most people were very active, besides the other benefits of children in school and less people in the hospitals. Therefore, I don't know, should we explicitly ask? You now have the right to contribute to society. You can contribute as well as you want. Please do. I don't know. But it is implied. But it is implied, isn't it? You really expect that if people have freedom and time, they no longer are tired from the 8 to 5 job, then they will participate. They will contribute.
Well, that's just taking a guess.
Indeed,
That's not a
I'm sorry.
reply.
Yeah, true.
So the problem still remains. Yeah. You could just say, so what? Yeah, we should give them. If they don't want to participate, it doesn't matter.
I do.
Yeah, no, I guess that I agree with you. It's true that the empirical studies show that people do participate. But my question is more a principal question. Could we still justify basic income if we don't ask anything in return? And then I believe that the answer is the second part of your reply, when you said that in any case we don't really know who contributes to wealth. The earth belongs to everyone, and everyone should have their share. What do you think about that, Michele?
I'm not sure about what I think about this.
I have a question. I'm speaking with my friends sometimes, and I have a friend that is deeply liberal, I think, and so he believes in Darwinism. And so his quote is like, yeah, the weak should die, so why setting up basic income? So, and the weak should die. That this is Darwinism. That's how human beings appear on the earth. Okay? And so yeah, how it works, it's the strong win and the weak die. And the basic income, it's totally against that. And I don't agree with him, but it's difficult to argue. And so if you have a good argument that I can expose to him, I would be glad.
The best argument comes in Peter Singer. Peter Singer, the animal rights defender, has this very nice small book called Darwinian Left. And he says that actually Darwinism is a left thing, not a right thing. So I could give him that book. But I understand, but it's a pure ideology, what people say. When they say Darwinism is about the weak time.
Excuse me, as a biologist, Darwin said, what Darwin said is, the fit will survive. The less fit will disappear, not the weak, or not the strong.
Exactly. Fitting is a concept large enough to include basic income, right?
Can I just say something? What if you, by giving them money, they become less weak,
More fit.
more fit? They can educate themselves, for example, if they have money. If they don't, they can't. They will try to find a job as quickly as possible. They won't care about the education when they have. When they only think about their income, they don't think about education. Normally, Darwin, for example, was rich. His family was rich. That's why he got time to try science. If people that don't have money, they don't go for education. They can get better without money, I think. And if they can't find a job or anything else, they'll try to find money. But they need the money first to become better. I think it kind of goes against. By giving them money, I think it's a better way.
I just remembered that the argument we could make an argument that is completely not related to Darwinism or someone being more fit than the others, which is we as a human family become fitter if more members of its family are more fit, basically, by providing many people the resources to improve themselves. You help yourself. You help, it's really that. And since we expect them to participate and many good things entering the commons, if many people have time to invent things, awesome. Right? We as humans will be more likely to survive.
I agree with you, but what if, like at the monkey time, just before human being, you would have given them food for free for every day? What do you think would have happened?
Do you know the monkeys? No, those monkeys that do a lot of sex. What's the name of them?
Bonobo.
There you go. There's an example of monkeys who have a lot of food most of the time, and they evolved in that sense.
Okay.
That's different social hierarchy than the usual baboons and stuff.
Just
This way because of the cord.
Regarding social Darwinism, I would just like to point out that we don't live in the jungle. We live in human societies. There is no reason why we should follow the laws of the jungle in human societies. That's basically.
yeah, I agree. Just looking for an argument. I think you would agree with the Bonobo story.
I just wanted to say that also the definition of being fit, I mean, has changed over the years, right? So with basic income, we would actually give people a chance to invent other kind of behaviors which fit more into society than capitalism right now. Like, for example, right now it's the tech guys which fit, let's say, you know, but soon they will just eat their jobs with even more technology. So we need more options that fit better, which we will only create when we start kind of making, giving people a chance to to find more options.
I was reading a short essay by John Maynard Keynes today that it relates to what we were saying. Basically, his idea, it's very philosophical, although Keynes is known mostly as an economist. Basically, Keynes' idea of our relation to wealth and accumulation is that it's not really nice. It's a nice thing about us that we discard this kind of capitalist ethics that we must create and accumulate capital. But it's necessary to improve our technology and our science. But then at a certain point, we will be able to produce so much that this sort of thing will appear for what it is, a sort of perversion. It says the person that is always posticipating the enjoyment. He tells a story about a man that goes to a professor asking his money, and the professor says, a creditor. And the professor tells the creditor, if you come next year, I will give you twice as much. Don't you like this idea of getting twice as much? And so the man comes back. And then someone asks the professor, will you ever give him back the money? He said, no, I will tell him this until he dies. Because the idea of getting more and more money will allow him to win. And Keynes said, when we will have enough wealth to fulfill our needs, we will see that this is something crazy. But at our time, we must be very careful saying this, because we need this drive to accumulation to improve our society. So, the real question one can ask is, are we there yet? and I want to know your review about this. Are we at the point in which this capitalist morality of, you know, you're good, not if you enjoy your life for the goals, but if you increase the means, always looking at the future, accumulating capital. Capital is just a means for a future good. So is this, are we there yet? Can we move to the next stage in which we think about enjoying the benefits of the capital we have accumulated until now? That's my question.
Well, I will first say something and then jump on this issue, this topic. I will tell you something. I have stopped trying to convince people. I don't have time for that. There are certain type of people who never get convinced until the day it actually exists. You know, it's like Saint Thomas.
Yeah, that's my feeling too.
You know, the time is running out. When in times of crisis, there are so many problems, and if we want to convince everyone, it's not just possible. What we have to do instead is spend time with the one who are already convinced and want to actually do their best to make it happen. That's actually at least I'm not saying don't speak to your friends and trying to, you know, to make them think about it. Of course, I'm doing that all day as well. But, you know, as well, when I first heard of Basic Income, I was still a student in a business school with this, you know, this French grande école and these kind of people who are actually privileged, but they don't know it. And they you know, they don't think that, okay, anyway, it's not important, but, you know, these kind of people who are not the easiest one to convince. And I had nights, hours and hours of arguments with them. I never convinced them with rational arguments. I even tried the irrational ones, but it didn't work either. What works, at some point, but I was totally not my strategy or something else, no? It just at some point, like 1 year later, I didn't discuss with these people for a while, and then I met them again, and they were telling me, you know, oh, you did this conference here, and oh, I saw this article, and oh, you are traveling now? And they didn't tell me they were convinced or anything, but at least they were getting curious. Because I had arguments with them, I was really trying to understand why they think differently, but most of all because I was doing action. I was doing something, and I was doing it with more and more people around me. And that, I think, is the thing that is the most convincing thing ever, is to build the movement. Is to grow and grow, to have more people overcoming their fears, overcoming the risk of appearing like someone crazy who has a stupid idea of giving money to everyone. And the more we get confident in ourselves, the more we're actually convincing in the end. So that would be how I don't have the best argument to your friend, but I would say don't over push it. Just think about it a little bit. Try to change his perception of society, maybe, and that will be a small victory. And maybe in 2 years he will finally say, it's not so bad. It happened to me many times. Now about...
Just a little word about that. I mean, just a little word. Because I think your friend's objection is really bad. I mean, it has nothing to do with the interesting objections. I just want to say that I'm also totally convinced about the rationality of basic income, so I get a bit tired of it. I don't really feel like talking about it. But I agree that theoretically there are some interesting objections. And if you can get people out of the silly objections and try to ask the good objections, that is a progress. So that's worth trying to do. And so we need to talk about it between ourselves. We have to know the good objections and the bad ones. For example, you said that would be a very good reply to a silly objection. Okay, we live in society. Who cares about Darwin? It's something different. Or maybe your reply too would be good. So still, we should admit that there are some good objections. So,
Yeah, absolutely, there are good objections, but at some point, with the time in which we are living, at the point the question is not is basic income good or bad, it's also about, okay, if it's bad according to you, then what's your idea? What's your plan to actually save the world? I mean, because we are really going in the wrong direction right now. So you may disagree on basic income, but at least give me an idea of something that could be better. And if you disagree, at least don't let me, let me believe it, you know? Then about what you said, it's really interesting and I totally agree. And that's where also my activity with WeShare comes in the game, because in WeShare we're a community of people who believe in the sharing economy, who believe in the concept of open source, of the peer-to-peer, and we basically believe that we live in a post-scarcity economy. That means that we have achieved a level of development that is incredibly big, and it's just an absurdity that we waste so much food, that we waste so much material, so much resources, and it's just absurd that we still live in this conception of work as employment, not as an activity, a social useful activity. So I don't know what to say more than that. I just think that we could do so much more if instead of competition, we would be in a world of competition or cooperation or sharing. We all know that we waste so much food. Even as ourselves, as individuals, we waste a lot of food. And we also produce food in a way that it's really bad. We do so many things wrong because we are in this conception of profit and profit seeking and competition. We could do so much better with cooperation. So that's just some insight on just to go along with your thoughts. I don't know if you agree or. Yes.
I just want to ask you something that I read a lot, especially in Facebook, in the group of basic income. Many people ask, where did you find the money to provide the basic income to all European citizens? Especially, I'm talking because people discuss particularly the Portuguese situation. We are in the middle of an economical crisis. We have now a political crisis also. And many people try to make sums to find where do we get that money to pay the basic income. And that doubt make the persons doubt that could be any time reality, at least in Portugal.
I'm also interested in your views about how to finance. Just a small comment about, are we there yet? The BBC documentary Century of Self describes the invention of marketing per se, and the need marketing was invented because we were producing too much and people needed to consume more. So ever since that time, which was in the beginning of this century, 100 years ago, yes, we were there. We already are there, I think.
So about the financing. So First, there is the rational answer, saying, look, we already have this system, very bureaucratic, very inefficient. For instance, in France, it has been recognized, we have a percentage of taxation at almost 50%, right? So we have 50% of the GDP, the wealth, I mean the monetized wealth, that is being somehow taken to someone and distributed to another one, but we don't really know how and why. So first of all, the rational answer is, okay, let's rationalize this, let's simplify, and let's give everyone a unique payment instead of opaque, hazardous redistribution, okay? That's the first thing. The second thing, obviously, is also, okay, but why are we agreeing about how to finance a basic income where we don't even ask ourselves how much money we give to the military investment? We never agree about how much money we spend, I don't know, for nuclear power or whatever, you know, this sort of things. So the second part of that is about the political willing. Because when we talk about money, we actually talk about a transaction system that is owned by private organizations, which are named bank. And the banks actually, when they finance their economy, you know, you usually there's this picture of, okay, when a bank do a loan to buy, so that you can buy a house, or to a company so that they can start a business. You are usually told this picture of, okay, you have savers, you have people who have money in the bank. They took that money and they lend to the business or to the buyer wants the man wants to own a house. That's not true. The bank issue money when they issue credit. That's just an accounting system that enables that. I won't go too much into details, but basically the idea here is that our money system is basically controlled, owned by private firms and the banking system as a whole. And what the banking system does, by issuing the credits, what they do is they recognize what is valuable or not in the economy. When they lend you money to buy a house or a car or for a business, they say to you, okay, what you have here, your business plan, okay, this has value for me. But you know, the banking system is, in terms of power, it's huge, but in terms of intention, in terms of how many people are working for that, it's very few. So what I want to explain here is that in the end, because we have a centralized monetary system which relies on privatized industry, this concentration of power decides what is valuable or not in the economy. And of course, the criteria are profit, even before anything else. So this system is, in a large part, responsible of our economy, what's the direction of our economy, because obviously all the investment we do is driven by the idea of the interest, of the profit, not the idea of social usefulness. And obviously basic income is trying to change that. The idea of basic income is to recognize that there are other values other than profit. There are non-marketable activities that are still providing useful stuff for this society.
Yes. No, I'm not an economist, so please excuse me if what I'm going to say it contains a lot of mistakes or it's very naive. So imagine, there is no Anglo-America and the people in this room tell Mr. Draghi what to do. A very easy way to found a basic income would be to tell the European Central Bank, just print that money and give it to the people. Now, if you do this, and technically it could be done in 1 second, just changing numbers in the computers. That's all it's needed. Now, if you do that, one could think, what will be the consequence? The prices of the things will go up, and then nothing will have changed at the end.
I just like to give a very simple ideological reply to your question before this starts getting too complicated. When people ask you how it finance, you can reply in a rhetorical way. Just say, hey, wait a minute. Don't we have enough money to allow everyone to live with dignity? That was just strange. Just to block it.
Okay. So about the inflation question. It's a difficult one because first of all, many people don't really understand what is inflation. And I'm not saying that's your case, but I've been experimenting a lot of misunderstanding about inflation. People usually think inflation arises when you have an increase of prices. Okay, that's
the definition of it.
no! Inflation is when you have an increase of money supply. Okay? So that's what you are referring to. But I just want to make it first clear that there's one thing we don't consider with inflation is that your wage is a price in the market. How much you are getting paid is a price in the market. But is it bad if the price of the labor is increasing? Obviously not. You like it when you have an increase in your pay bill, right? So just to put some context, because okay, without talking about basic income so far, you have, for example, 10% inflation. But what if your salary, your wage is getting higher by 15%? You are still happy, right? Because you gain 5% difference. So that's the first answer with the basic income, is that the question is not do prices rise? The question is, do my income rise more than inflation? And in society, whose income will rise more than the inflation? And the thing is that if you have a low income, if you are if you have the minimum salary plus the basic income, obviously the basic income will help you. You have a boost in your purchase power. But if you are very rich, if you have 1 million in the bank and you have 5% of inflation, you lose this 5%. And the basic income you get, it just disappears with the taxation. So that's the first answer. But the deeper one is when we talk about the ECB, it's interesting because the ECB, they have been telling us for 10 years now that the inflation in the Eurozone is 2%. Okay, first of all, it's not 2% everywhere. In some countries it's 3%. Some other countries like Germany is like 1%. But they would never tell you that. For the ECB, the Eurozone is a unique country, you know? At least in the statistic, that this is what they are telling you. And of course this led to many problems, like the bankruptcy of the banks in Ireland, for instance. But why I'm talking about ECB? Because the ECB will tell you there's 2% inflation. Okay. But they will never tell you that there has been an increase of the housing prices by 10% during 10 years everywhere in Europe. They never told you that. But it's still inflation. But they don't tell you it's not calculated as inflation. But when you have an increase of property assets, when the building here costs 2 million instead of 1, of course this has an impact on the rents. But this is not counting as inflation, just because of fucking statistics. Now, why has the housing bubble occurred? Why the rents, why the private property has increased? And why we had the subprime bubble, the subprime crisis in the US? Because what I was just referring before, because of the banking system and how it works. Because with the system of the banks right now, they can issue credit just like this. They don't need the funds before. They are creating the funds that they lend to you, and they like it. They like to invest in housing because if you get bankrupt, at least they can own the house afterwards. And actually, it's terrible. I was just in Spain. It's terrible because they have a law that says that if you cannot pay anymore your mortgage, not only you lose possession of your house, but you still have to pay the debt. So they like it, obviously. They love it. They love to make people indebted to buy a house because they are sure that the value is there, supposedly. So the banks have allowed a big increase of the money supply. They have allowed the money mass, the monetary mass to increase to double in certain countries. And they have caused inflation, but they don't tell you. So just to say that, first, a basic income might increase inflation, but how about the basic income you get, which is a compensation of the inflation actually? And how about the inflation that already exists, that we don't think about too much? And finally, the ending point is that, as I was saying just before, the question about money is how do we create the money, and under which principles? What do we recognize as value? And if we recognize that something has value, how do we monetize it? And in the current system, we do monetize the things that get more money for the banks. And in a basic world, or in a better world, the question is what would we like to consider as valuable? And my answer would be, first of all, what has much more value than anything else is humans.
So you still agree that it would create inflation in any scenario? You still agree that it would create inflation? There's no scenario where the basic income...
I have a good example.
Okay.
So there is another subject I'm really interested too. So it's parallel money. Okay, so we are together. Like instead of exchanging these pieces of paper, we exchange other pieces of paper. Okay, we put value on it. It's okay. And there are some experiences that are already working and prove a lot, like in Brazil or in Africa. So it's basically some places where economy, as we think about it, are really destroyed. And banks don't give them confidence, so they don't lend them money, so there is no money there at all. You know these places more or less. And so some associations come there, and they say, okay, so we will give you money, it's this piece of paper, it's another value. Okay, of course you cannot buy a GPT player, but what the fuck, you don't need that. You just need to... And actually, the result of this kind of experience, the economy is starting again. And this is not the economy of consumerism, but it's about exchanging services. And the community is working. Economy is not working. We don't care, it's GDP. But the community is working and services are exchanging and so on. Think about it like tomorrow, if the money doesn't exist anymore. You will still need to go and buy your bread, and this guy will need to buy flour, and this guy will, and so on, and it will work. So, it's just, as you said, the purpose of the money. Is it to consume DVD player, or is it to exchange services between us? And there is one money I really love, and the basic principle, it's called sell, in French it's sold. And the basic principle of this money is 1 hour of my time costs the same price as 1 hour of your time. And so, its local communities are working like this, and it's working. So if you create this kind of money, there will be no inflation.
What about tax planning? Because we're not, excuse me, what about the tax planning system? Because if you exchange services, probably kind of random experience that's happening. But the problem is always that one. You are not only a small community, but you are a whole country. How do you conceive on a long-term basis and on a wide territory exercise? How do you conceive this? How can a state function without taxes? How is common goods going to be géré? How do you say this? Yes, how is it going to be governed on a broad way, like hospitals, education, social welfare, everything. You live in a society which is built in a certain way. Are you to explode the society and recreate it from the grounds? Or how can you adapt a system that is now working and that we've been all contributing to for hundreds of years? How do you...
May I answer to the question? Okay.
Wait, please.
I have some more.
I know nothing about this. I arrived here, I know nothing about this. I arrived here late. My name is Bob. Hello.
Hi, Bob.
But what I understand is the following. I understand here there's a will to try to conceive a society which is different from what we know. There's a will, there are facts around us that we say, this cannot be it. We're supposed to be civilized, and we look around us, and many of us say, this is not it. And then you will answer, because you know about this, but I don't know that the point is how we're going to pay taxes, because we know, or I think we all think here, that we cannot change this from one day to the other. The value I see from what I've been hearing here is that let's try to open a door to a different solution. And then it's like when you do research. You don't know if you're going to get there, you don't know when you're going to get there, or how you're going to get there. But you think that what you're doing, it's worth trying to see if there's another way to do it. Huh?
My question is, I've been thinking about
No.
it.
How? He would answer to that question.
I mean, on your experience on this...
Well, I don't have the answers of all the questions, but I just believe the world is a sum of local places, so if it is working at a local scale, it should work at a local scale.
No, right.
Maybe I can try a different answer. I think the local currencies, you don't have to take it as I would say the contrary actually, you don't have to take it as a global answer. They are not made, experimentations are not made to bring the absolute answer. What they are for instead is more about being conscious of what is money and bringing back on the table people from the neighborhood, for instance, and have a discussion on if we were to build a currency between ourselves, a money system, how would it function? How would it work? What would be the values behind it? And then of course there's all the argument of if you do that locally, how does it work with the whole system, with the taxation? But no, that's not the point. We are talking about doing it locally. And we're doing it for the purpose of for the love of it. Not just because we are thinking we are going to reinvent the whole world, but also because we think that we can all here in this room think about it. It's possible. We are all humans. We all have a brain. We can figure out how to make a monetary system that will be better for ourselves. I think that's the point with the local currency. It's more about taking back the power of citizens on the system at the local level.
I'm changing the subject. I'm going back probably to the main one because we took a sort of a parallel way. So one obvious question when we compare basic income to other forms of welfare is to say, so as long as we understand this as, unconditional income, we just give it to everybody, no question asked. Why instead not using all the money that goes to people, no question asked, to the people who are not the needy, but the other ones? The ones just get it because, no question asked is no question asked. So, why not using that money to improve all the nice things we could improve in welfare? To improve the healthcare system, which seems to be the sort of thing that you can always improve. There's always, one more cure that you can give and you can give to one more person. You can always build a larger hospital with more bedsides. You can always hire one more doctor. You can always pay to the pharmaceutical companies more medicines or education. You can always improve that. Is there a limit? So, given that some people are able to contribute, and with the basic income they get the money, no question asked, isn't it? No, it's not a question of feasibility, it's a question of morality. It doesn't make more sense morally to use that money for those other purposes.
No, I don't know shit about moral because I don't like moral. I don't like people telling me what is good or wrong. I prefer ethics. But that's the parenthesis, but I'm just skeptical when it comes to moral. But anyway, to come back to the question, and in the specific example of welfare and healthcare, okay, we could effectively hire more doctors and have more subsidies for the hospitals so that we cure people who are sick. But why don't we first ask why are people so sick? Why are they so depressed? And we all know the answer. Most of the answer is because people feel bad at work. They get stressed because of high pressure. They get stressed because of working conditions that are really indecent in terms of working hours, in many different ways. And basically, I think the most important reason is that people are doing things that are useless. They are doing things that doesn't make any sense at the other level of just I'm working because I'm getting paid and that makes my family live. So